last question. So a company produces and sells electric cars. The company's profit P in thousands of dollars changes based on the number of cars X they produce per month. The rate of change of their profit from producing X electric cars is modeled by this. The company makes a profit of $260,000 when they produce 15 electric cars, right? So guys, this is an initial condition hidden here, which we're going to use in a second. But find an expression for P in terms of X. So look, there's a lot of words here, but they've given us a derivative. This is the rate of change of their profit from producing X electric cars. So it's dP dx. So they've given us the change of profit with respect to X. So they've given us a derivative and they want us to find P. How do we get that? Well, that is the integral. So we need to integrate the reverse of the derivative is the integral. So if we integrate this, we'll get P, but we'll end up with the plus C. If you remember, when you integrate, you have to do plus C, and we have to find plus C using this condition. So that's it. So we're going to integrate. So P is equal to the integral of minus 1.6x plus 48 dx. And this is equal to minus 1.6, add 1 to the power, x squared, divide by the power, 2, plus 48x, to add an x here, and then plus c. Okay, so this is P, but we have to find c. So we use, and by the way guys, I can simplify this to negative 0.8 x squared plus 48x plus c. So how do I find C? Well, we sub in 260 for P because that's the profit, and we sub in 15 for X. So then I have 260 equals negative 0.8 15 squared plus 48 times 15 plus C. C equals, may as well guys just use numerical solve here. So algebra, numerical solve, 260 equals minus 0.8 times 15 squared plus 48 times 15 plus C, comma C, that means find C please, and it's minus 280. So C is equal to minus 280. Therefore, P is equal to minus 0.8x squared plus 48x minus 280. That's part A done. Part B. The company regularly increases the number of cars it produces. Describe how their profit changes if they increase production to over 30 cars per month and up to 50 cars per month. So basically, it's not like the more cars they produce, the more profit they make. So for some reason within the business, there's an optimum amount of cars to produce. I don't know, maybe they don't have enough staff, or the factory's not big enough to produce more. So there's an optimum amount of cars that they should be producing, because the rate of change here will be negative once X goes over a certain value. So the profit's actually going to start to decrease. So the way to do this, well, there's a number of ways to think of it. You could actually sub in 30 into this, and you'll see that if you sub in 30 here, that's actually the point where this between 30 and 50 is where this actually starts to become negative, because if you sub 30 in there, you actually get 0. So 30 is actually the optimum number of cars they should produce, but if it goes over 30, their profit starts to decrease. Now the way I'm going to actually explain it to you, if you don't like that short explanation there, is actually I'm going to graph this. Let me delete this. Okay, I am going to graph this function here. So I'm going to do minus 0.8x squared plus 48x minus 280. So this is the profit function. Now let me try and zoom fit. Not too bad. Let's zoom out. Okay. So this is the profit function. So this is the X is the number of cars it sells, and the y-axis is the profit. So the more they sell, the profit increases and increases and increases until it gets to this point here, and then the profit starts to decrease. So it's just a negative quadratic. What's that maximum point there? Well, the maximum point is it's actually 30, as I guessed or could see by subbing it into the derivative. So after 30, the profit starts to decrease. So the way you can actually explain this, because they do say justify your answer, is actually draw a little graph, a little quadratic here, like this. This is P. This function is P of X, or let's say P equals F of X. And this point here is 30 and, what was it? 30, 440. 30, 440. And then you can say, so describe how their profit changes as they produce over 30 cars. So as X, as they produce over 30 cars, their profit starts to decrease as the maximum is at X equals 30. So that kind of explains nicely how you can see the profit as they go over 30 cars, the profit starts to go down. And if they produce too many cars, they'll actually start making a loss, because, as I said, there's whatever the reasons you can think of. The other way to think of it is, if you sub 30 in here, it's this would be 0, the rate of change would be 0. But anything bigger than 30, the rate of change would be negative. So for example, if you sub in 31, 32, 33, anything up to 50 or beyond, this will be negative. So that means that the rate of change of their profit is actually negative, which means the profit is decreasing. Okay, hope that makes sense, guys. That's the last question, probably the hardest one. Although part A, I think, was a fairly straightforward one, provided you understood that you were trying to integrate. Not a bad paper. Let's check paper 2 is probably a bit more difficult. And yeah, see you in the next video.